Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna, we're studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, entitled Vidura's Talks with Maitreya, Text 44. It's September 24th, 2023. So, Canto 3, Chapter 5, Text 44. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, and to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesh vajreshu nicham bhagavata sevaya bhagavat utamashloke bhaktir bhagati naistiti. Yat. Sa anubandhe. Asati. Deha. Gehe. Mama. Aham. Iti. Udha. Duragrahanam. Pumsam. Suduram. Vasata. Api. Puryam. Vajema. Tat. Te. Bhagavan. Pada abjam. Yatsanubandhe sati deha gehe. Mamaham ijuda duragrahanam. Pumsam sudaram vasato pipuryam. Pajemitate bhagavan padabjam. Yatsanubandhe sati deha gehe. Mamahami juta duragrahanam. Pumsam sudaram vasato pipuryam. Vajemitate bhagavan padabjam. Yatsanubandhe sati deha gehe. Mama hamityuda duragrahanam. Pumsam sudaram vasato pipuryam. Vajemitate bhagavan padabjam.
Yatsanubandhe sati deha gehe.
Yatsanubandhe sati deha gehe. Mamaham ityuta duragrahanam.
Pumsam suduram vasato pipuryam.
Pumsam sudaram vasato pipuryam. Pajemitate bhagavan padabjam. Would anyone else like to chant the verse?
Yatsanubandhe sati dehe gehe.
Yatsanubandhe sati deha gehe.
Mamaham iti uda duragrahanam.
Mamaham ityuta duragrahanam.
Usam sudaram vasato pipuryam.
Pumsam sudaram vasato pipuryam.
Vajamitate bhagavan padajam.
Pajemitate bhagavan padabjam. Okay. Well, look at the word meanings. Yat,
Yat,
because.
because.
Sa'anubandhe,
Sa'an bande,
due to becoming entangled.
due to becoming entangled.
Asati,
Asati,
thus being.
thus being.
Deha,
Deha,
the gross material body.
the gross material
Gehe,
body.
in the home. Mama,
Mama,
mine.
I,
Aham, I.
I,
Iti,
iti,
thus.
thus.
Udha,
Ula,
great deep.
great,
Duragrahanam,
I,
undesirable eagerness. Pumsam,
Sam,
of persons. Sudaram, far away. Vasata, dwelling.
dwelling,
Api,
Api,
although.
all,
Poryam,
Yam,
within the body.
but,
Bajema, let us worship. Tat, therefore.
therefore,
Te,
te,
your.
your,
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
O Lord.
Lord,
Pada abjam, lotus feet.
sweet,
Translation. O Lord, persons who are entangled by undesirable eagerness for the temporary body and kinsmen, and who are bound by thoughts of mine and I, are unable to see your lotus feet, although your lotus feet are situated within their own bodies. But let us take shelter of your lotus feet. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The whole Vedic philosophy of life is that one should get rid of the material engagement of gross and subtle bodies, which only cause one to continue in a condemned life of miseries. This material body continues as long as one is not detached from the false conception of lording it over material nature. The impetus for lording it over material nature is the sense of mine and I. I am the Lord of all that I survey. So many things I possess, and I shall possess more and more. Who can be richer than I in wealth and education? I am the master, and I am God. Who else is there but me? All these ideas reflect the philosophy of Aham Mama, the conception that I am everything. Persons conducted by such a conception of life can never get liberation from material bondage. But even a person perpetually condemned to the miseries of material existence can get relief from bondage if he simply agrees to hear only Krishna Katha. In this age of Kali, the process of hearing Krishna Katha is the most effective means to gain release from unwanted family affection and thus find permanent freedom in life. The age of Kali is full of sinful reactions, and people are more and more addicted to the qualities of this age. But simply by hearing and chanting of Krishna Katha, one is sure to go back to Godhead. Therefore, people should be trained to hear only Krishna Katha by all means in order to get relief from all miseries. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurinmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Upakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagnalalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchikalpata Yubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, Text 44. Yatsanubandhe satideha gehe mamaham ijudhadragrahanam pumsam sudaram vasato pipuryam bhajemetate bhagavan padabjam. O Lord, persons who are entangled by undesirable eagerness for the temporary body and kinsmen, and who are bound by thoughts of mine and I, are unable to see your lotus feet. Although your lotus feet are situated within their own bodies, but let us take shelter of your lotus feet. Hare Krishna. I was reading the purport, and I sing this as like a classic text verse. Classic in that if we hear from Prabhupada, whether lectures or purports, so he's constantly explaining, pointing out how we are entangled, how we're entangled in material life, the problem. So that's like, it's just there, whether it's his conversations, his letters, his purport. So here it's just very, how we're entangled and the process for liberation. And here it's just in a very compact, clear way. And both are there. So the entanglement, he's referencing some verses from Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita here. So there's a text by Prabhupada that says, Aham Mama, the conception that I am everything. So Lord Rishabhadev describes to his sons, headed by Bharat Maharaj, 5th canto Bhagavatam. Pumsa striya mituni bhava metam tayur mitari diagranti mahavato kriyakshicho sutapta viter janasya ho yamaham mameti. So he's describing the core glue of the material entanglement is attraction between pumsa striya, male and female. That's the core glue. And then as there's sexual relations, that tends to make the glue tighter, and we become attached to so many things. This is my land, my partner, my treasury, my children, like that. And then all of it intensifies the illusion, Janasya Moho Yamama, that I am this body, and I'll be happy and satisfied by gratifying this body, gross body, or subtle material body, subtle gratification, respect, honor, adoration, like that. So that, okay. Yeah, it's kind of like, we can think of Maya, the force of illusion. Again, Maya is not like bad, not like that. Maya is a dedicated servant of Sri Krishna, just like recently we had Sri Radhastami. And so, you can think of, so just like Srimati Radharani is a servant of Krishna, so is her Shakti energy, Maya. We can compare, let's say if there's a king, okay, so the king might have so many servants, and they're all serving the king, so many maid servants. At the same time, if we really want to get to know the king, well, then there's the queen. Okay, there's the queen. So if we really want to get to know Krishna, we don't want to develop an intimate relationship with Maya, who's a maid servant, but we develop a service relationship with Srimati Radharani. She really knows the king very intimately. And in fact, not only she knows, she has power, right? Srimati Radharani, more powerful than Krishna, because her devotion is so deep and pure and completely sold out to Krishna that he feels forever indebted. And so so it's described that Krishna is Madan Mohan. He attracts even Cupid, just like everyone's a Cupid. So he attracts even Cupid. But Srimati Radharani is Madan Mohan Mohini, the attractor of Cupid. So she's even more powerful. So Maya is, she's like in charge of the prison house. Shri Sti Stiti Pranaya. Shri Sti Stiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Reka Chai Eda Yasya Bhuvanani Bibharti Durga Ichana Upam Apayasya Chatesta Tesa Govinda Madi Bhusham Tamam Bhajami. That describes Maya, Durga, Kali. They're like taking care of the prison house, the material world. Us conditioned souls, we're the prisoners, and they're doing it to please Govinda. Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Maya can be compared, let's say, to like a company, okay? And so Maya, well, it's complex, but basically Maya has two facets, okay? Just like a company that sells cars or cigarettes or widgets or computers or whatever. All right. So the company has its advertising department, and the advertising department, they're expert in convincing us. You don't want this car. You need this car. You need this computer accessory. It's not just a matter, oh yeah. And it says it on TV. I saw it on the air. I must need it. Yeah, okay. So Maya, an aspect of the energy of Maya is to convince us that happiness you're seeking, that fulfillment, that respect, that love, you need to have that respect. You need to have that position. You need to have that partner. You need to have those clothes. You need to have that hairstyle. You need to have that bank account at that level. You need to have that job. Okay, like that. Oh yeah, okay. So that's one energy of Maya. And another, and again, with the company analogy, another energy of Maya is that it produces the stuff that it convinces us we need. So just like the company has an advertising department and the company has a manufacturing department. So the advertiser convinces that you need that car, and then it has a manufacturer. Here's the car. So they're both elements of Maya. So the Maya produces all those things that she convinces us we need. So that's, of course, so that's like the essential. So we allow ourselves to be victimized by Maya, Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantri Rudani Maya, on the machine and material energy. We convince ourselves to be misled and misinformed, okay? Because for the spirits of the spirit, we're inherently joyful. Right? That's what it means. We're inherently joyful and powerful and blissful and secure and fearless. That's the soul awakened to itself and turning with a devotional turn of consciousness to Krishna. And then we don't need anything external to be happy, joyful, blissful, satisfied, fulfilled, peaceful. Okay. And then from that consciousness of abundant, pure devotion, then naturally we acted, the devotional soul acts in the world, but not from need, but from inspiration to serve. Srila Prabhupada, he didn't need anything in 1965. He's fully blissful serving Krishna in Vrindavan at Radha Damodar Temple. Still, he left there and he came to the West from inspiration to serve. So the basic entanglement, Janasimaho Yamaham Mamekti, Prabhupada, he's pretty much paraphrasing a section from chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada, I am the Lord of all that I survey. So many things I possess, and I should possess. Prabhupada, there's a section in chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita. We can call it the soliloquy of the demon, the soliloquy of the materialist. Ishvaraham Bhogi Sirvaham Balavan Sukhi. So Krishna is playing the role of a completely non-devotional, conditioned soul. I'm the controller. I'm the enjoyer. I'm perfect, powerful, happy. Look at me surrounded by my special friends and relatives, and like that. Okay, so that's the essence of material consciousness, the essence of material consciousness. That I am the center of the universe. I'm the master of the universe. Everything revolves around me. Right? So That's, you know, if we see like a little baby, that's the thing, right? The baby has no conception of empathy for others, a little baby. So of course, babies have the advantage. They're really cute. So people are okay to, okay, I'll take care of the baby. But it becomes less cute when I need to be the center of the universe. And now I'm 20, now I'm 30, now I'm 62. Yeah, it's like not so cute anymore. But still, I demand it. I'm going to have my temper tantrum. Yeah, kind of embarrassing. Okay, so yeah, so but that's the sentence, and then that's why. So then, okay, then in the other part of the purport, Prabhupada, it's just like about half the purport is about the entanglement, and just so Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, essential truth spoken concisely is true eloquence. So eloquent, like this, there's more philosophical richness, potency, information, truth in this one paragraph. And can go to the University of Florida philosophy library, psychology library, the whole whatever, thousands of books, doesn't match this one paragraph. I stand for that. So then in the second part, he goes, okay, persons conducted by such a conception of life can never get liberation from material bondage. But, and then he transitions, but even a person perpetually condemned to the miseries of material existence can get relief from bondage if he simply agrees to hear only Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha means Bhagavatam, means to hear the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. It means from the Bhagavad, from beginning the whole Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's pastimes of Krishna, philosophy of Krishna. Okay, and the name of Krishna, the form of Krishna, and then that's the open secret to disentangle from the material context. And so that requires humility. There's a well-known text by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Trinadapi Sunichena Taroi Vasahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtanya Sandahari. Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master Bhakti Siddhanta said that verse, Trinadapi, we should put that verse on a necklace and hang it around our neck and wear it all the time. Okay, because the idea is I want to be the center. I want to be the center. The only problem with the world is that not everyone agrees that I should be the center. Okay. So then everyone's thinking that way. So it takes humility, because so in that verse, Lord Chaitanya is saying, one should be more tolerant than a tree, more humble than a blade of grass, desiring no respect for oneself, ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of consciousness, one can chant, one could kirtanya sadar, one can do kirtan constantly, 24 hours. One can chant the holy name of God constantly, right? So the last pada is kirtanya sadari, constant kirtan. And kirtan, of course, a form we're familiar with is with mridanga, kartals, and singing. But Prabhupada would say, this Bhagavatam is kirtan. There's at one point, Srila Prabhupada, he was coming to one of the cities, and they took him to the temple, which was like a fairly small house at that time in one of the cities. And in the morning, Prabhupada would rise at 1 a.m. and he would dictate into the dictaphone, the recorder, his Bhaktivedanta purports, his translations. And then in the day, one of his students would be typing the dictation. And it was a small house, and so the students were worried. They said, oh, Prabhupada, is the typing disturbing for you? While Prabhupada's in his room doing other things, is that disturbing for you? And Prabhupada said, I hear that typing is kirtan. That typing is kirtan. It's not just typing some newspaper thing for some mundane news or some mundane novel or something. Typing the eternal Bhaktivedanta purpose of that typing is kirtan, like that. So importantly, so in order, so I want to be the same. So in order to chant the name of Krishna, the name of God constantly, takes humility. That but I want my name to be chanted. I want my name to be chanted. Okay, so it takes humility to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah, that I'm your servant, Srimati Radharani. I'm your servant. So let me chant your name. So it's every time we chant, we're whittling away at the false ego about this is me, mine. From the late 60s, after he got in contact with the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and George Harrison, inspired by Prabhupada. One of his songs on one of the Beatles albums is his song is entitled "I Me Mine." So of course, I me mine, I me mine. Yes, okay, yeah, fine song in my opinion. And so Prabhupada said the impetus for lording it over material nature is a sense of mine and I. I am this body, and this is my. No, I'm not the body. I'm spirit, soul. And even if in the name of David Wolf, there's a bank account, there's a car, there's a house, it's not mine. This is Krishna's. This is Krishna's. Let me use it in Krishna's service. That's liberation. That's liberation. So the liberation chant the names of Krishna, the form of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna. And so again, importantly, the first three lines of Lord Chaitanya's verse are humility, desiring no respect for myself, whether to offer all respect to others, seeing myself as lower than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. Then at the end, then one can chant blissfully, because otherwise, well, I'm chanting, but you're not respecting me enough. Why is he being honored rather than me? Envy. And then I'm all distracted from the kirtan. So very key there. So the entanglement and the process of liberation, as Prabhupada indicates here, well, the demigods are saying, "Oh Lord, persons who are entangled by undesirable eagerness for the temporary body and kinsmen, and who are bound by thoughts of mine and I, are unable to see your lotus feet. Although your lotus feet are situated within their own bodies, but let us take shelter of your lotus feet." Right? So it's described in the Brahma Samhita. Every morning, the Govindam prayers, that's the Brahma Samhita. And in the Brahma Samhita, there's 57 verses that end with Govindam Adi Pusham Tamaham Bhajami. One line in one verse says, Andantarasta Paramanu Jayantarastam. That Krishna is present in fullness in every atom, Many times in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Videsha Arjuna Tishtati, that Krishna is in the heart of all living entities. So Krishna is completely present within us, and material life means we're forgetting that presence. Our clear consciousness is covered, whether it's in like coach training, facilitation, transformational seminars. We emphasize that all the skills, all the methods, all the tools, all the principles, they're about supporting ourselves and others to connect with the highest guidance within. In the Sanskrit language, which means connect with the Paramatma, translates as super soul. Sutta Goswami says, Srinvatam Svakta Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Yudanta Stoya Bhajrani Vidunoti Saritsatam. Sri Krishna, who's the personality of Godhead, and the super soul, Paramatma, in the heart of all living entities and the benefactor, the truthful devotee, personally cleanses the heart from material desire for the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So it's all about super soul connection. Without that super soul connection, we are lost. We might have a mask or an image. I got it together. Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, Machita sarvadorgani mat prasada tarishyasi atachat from hankaram nashoshasi vinakshasi. Krishna says to Arjuna that this whole material ocean, vast ocean, and examples often given by Prabhupada, like even if we think I'm a great swimmer, I was on my high school team, if we're dropped in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, you don't got a chance. But Krishna says you easily cross over the ocean of material existence if you're connected with super soul. That's what all the processes are about. That's the essence of sattva, right? To bring to awareness that which till now has not been aware. And then we have guidance that supports us to disentangle from the web of material existence and to liberate ourselves to our original Krishna consciousness. Nityasiddha Krishna Prema, Sajjakabunoy Shravanani Shuddhachitte Karya Uday. Love of Krishna is eternally situated in the hearts of all living entities. It's not something we need to get some external source for. And it's awakened by Krishna Katha, hearing and chanting, Bhagavatam, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And Krishna says, and if you're not connected with Paramatma in the heart, you'll just get more and more lost. And of course, a symptom of being more and more lost in Maya's web is that the more lost I am, the more I think like, I'm really clear-minded. I really got it together. Right? The nature of illusion is, I don't know that I'm in illusion. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Devyesha guna mahi, mama maya duratyaya, mame vaye prapajente, maya netam chulantite. Krishna says, crossing this ocean of material existence on your own, it's impossible, but good news, for one who takes shelter of me through chanting my names, serving my pure devotee, then it's easy. Then it's easy to cross this to the extent that we're surrendered. And it's easy then the whole Pacific Ocean becomes, the Bhagavatam says, like the amount of water that's contained in the hoof print of a calf. Right? If a calf is walking in some muddy thing and there's a hoof print, that's the analogy. So the whole Pacific Ocean condenses to that for one who's like Draupadi here, taking shelter, full shelter in Sri Krishna. So the Vedas basically, there's so many processes given in the Vedas or any true spiritual literature, so many processes given to move us, to meet us where we're at, and to support us to move to higher and higher modes of consciousness towards sattva, and from sattva to transcendence. Transcendence means devotional service to Sri Sri Gaura-Nitai, to Krishna. Yesterday in the class, we commented like the idea is to come to the level of Brahman, and then the Brahmanas, from there, they begin to enter into transcendence, devotional service. And we said, so whether it's karma yoga, that's a big theme in Gita. Okay. Karma yoga culminates yat karoshi yad ashnasi yad juhoshi dadasi yat tapasya konte tat kusha madarpanam. Then Krishna says, okay, the whole karma yoga, it's a whole science to come gradually higher in the modes. Krishna says, but the whole goal, whatever karma you're doing, offer it to me. Whatever you're eating, patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachate taram bhakti paratam ashtanami prayatatmana, offer it to me with love and devotion from wherever you're at. So the principle is we want to cultivate the mode of sattva, because that's the best platform from which to choose transcendental bhakti yoga. And at the same time, we don't want to be attached to sattva. Prabhupada, following the line of Lord Chaitanya, and Prabhupada uses that term, he's giving us the elevator rather than climbing 10,000 flights of steps through karma yoga or jnana yoga, because they all lead to bhakti yoga, varnashram. I'm thinking of the example in the 24th chapter of the Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Lord Chaitanya's teachings to Sanatan Goswami, he gives the example of Mrigari the hunter. Mrigari the hunter. Very interesting example. So Sri Narada Muni, great sage and devotee. Narada Muni is known as the eternal spaceman. He's playing his veena, kind of like a sitar, but not exactly. Plays his veena as he travels around, flies around space, mystic powers. And wherever he goes, he just inspires Krishna consciousness. And yeah, Narada Muni Bhajaya Veena Radhika Ramana Nami. And so he's chanting like the eternal spaceman. So he appears and he's walking along in the forest. He's walking along in the forest and he sees many animals who are writhing in agonizing pain, rising. Like they're not dead, but they're injured by the arrow and they're writhing in terrible pain. So Narada Muni, he sees the hunter. He sees the hunter. And he says to the hunter, what are you doing? What are you doing? Now the hunter, so the hunter just goes, what's the problem here? What's the problem here? And Muni says, well, I understand, like you're a hunter, it's like your vocation, it's okay. But why are you torturing the animals? Why not just kill them? Why are you? So it's a very interesting personality. So the hunter, by the association of Narada Muni, he's awakened in transformation. He gets this as a special person. Still, there's a few points. Still, the hunter goes through mother-father process. He goes through some mommy-daddy stuff. So the hunter kind of gets, just by the association of Narada Muni, like, wow, this is... So yeah, the hunter, he doesn't get like angry at Narada Muni because this is a special personality. But the hunter says, well, this is what I learned from my dad. We can imagine, Dad, what I remember fondly about you. We can imagine maybe growing up, my dad would take me on hunting trips, and that's what we would do. And he said we get enjoyment from seeing the animals suffer. We get enjoyment from seeing the animals suffer. That's what my dad taught me, and we can imagine he had very fond times. So even though the hunter was already transformed, he revealed, but I have attachment to this legacy from parents, from parental legacy. So Narada Muni understood. And so that's the entanglement from our past, whether it's mommy, daddy stuff, whether it's from previous lives, attachment to sex life or adoration or power or whatever. So this is our entanglement. So Narada Muni understood the hunter's entanglement. Now the hunter, we can say this is a very low, demoniac, barbaric person. He's enjoying to see the animals suffer. That's true in a sense. At the same time, the hunter had some simple, childlike quality that allowed him to just answer, well, this is what I learned, to enjoy seeing animals suffer. This is our fun. So he was so simple and honest and childlike. I can actually get lessons from this supposedly barbaric hunter. And that simple childlike quality, that allowed him to receive the mercy of Narada Muni. And so the Narada Muni says, I see where you're attached, even though the hunter was getting it, but like, but how will I get food because the Narada says, just throw away your bow and arrow, but this is my life. But the hunter was sincere, but admit, I got some attachments here. So Narada Muni, here's your process for liberation. And he says, so you simply worship the Tulasi plant, which is a pure devotee of Krishna in plant form called Tulasi Devi. And chant with your wife, and just chant Hare Krishna around with Tulasi plant. And trust me, it's like, be like Draupadi. Trust me, your food will be provided. And then, so the hunter trusted. The hunter trusted and saw it. And then just, okay, plant Tulasi, hunter, devotional clothes, drop the bow and arrow. Okay, just Kirtanya Sadari, let's just chant Hare Krishna. And then the townsfolk, they got word of Narada Muni's inconceivable transformational potency, and that this barbaric hunter, that he's the sweet, gentle devotee of Krishna, servant of Narada Muni. And they were so amazed that naturally they brought grains and donations and like that. And then as the story, like kind of a next chapter, a little while later, Narada Muni comes with one of his sage friends. I think it's Agastya Muni, like Parvata Muni. Thank you. So they visit the hunter, and they're standing at a distance from the hut, from the cottage. And so the hunter sees Narada Muni and Parvata Muni, and the hunter starts coming towards them from the distance. But then the hunter is doing some zigzag pattern. So Parvata Muni is like, what's he doing? What's happening there? And then, so it turns out the hunter, he was running because he wanted Narada Muni and Parvata Muni, wanted to see them, offer his obeisances. But he wanted to make sure he doesn't step on any ants. So that's like complete transformation, like from enjoying seeing the animals suffer to like, I want to make sure I don't. So he's doing a zigzag pattern to avoid the ants. So, well, actually, when I started with that story 7 minutes ago, the idea is like there's like these gradual processes: varnashram, karma yoga, raja yoga, hatha yoga, and they bring one to sattva, to transcendence. At the same time, we don't need to go through all those processes. We simply need to follow our current link to the Parampara, Srila Prabhupada. And I gave the example because like this hunter, like he was like, like below Sudra, below Mlecha. Okay. So it's like Narada Muni didn't go, okay, so first practice karma yoga, and then after a few lifetimes of Sudra, you become a Vaishya. No, just gave that the transcendental elevator. At the same time, in some intensified, magnified way, the hunter did go through some process, looking at his legacy from his father, getting it like that. So all the processes lead to bhakti. This is Krishna's opinion. Vedescha saver hameva vedu. The Vedas, there are desires. We can get any process, anything we want, and the goal is Krishna. Wherever you touch it, the goal is Krishna. Meeting the living entities where we're at and bringing us to Krishna. And we're fortunate to have an elevator process. My understanding is later today, a group from the community is going out here in Gainesville, Florida for Harinam Sankirtan. Yeah, wonderful. That's the Yuga Dharma. What's that? Community Kirtan. Jai. Wonderful. Yeah, so it's described. What's described? Kalar Desha denote Nide Rajan Astika Mahadguna Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Pram Vrajat. That particularly, Kirtan of God is just always fully transcendentally transformational, but especially in this age of Kali. So this age of Kali, it's an ocean of faults, in case anyone hasn't noticed. Kalar Doshe Nide Rajan Astiyukaman. But there's one redeeming, amazing quality that simply by kirtan, we can be liberated from the entanglement of material existence. Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishna Masengo Pangasta Parshadam Yagaze and Kirtana Prayer Yajantihi Sume Dasaha. And this is a verse from 5,000 years ago, really eternal, but spoken revealed 5,000 years ago, predicting the appearance of Lord Chaitanya about 530 years ago. and says that Krishna will appear in a golden form, a non-blackish form, in order and he'll chant Sankirtan. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishna Sango Pangashta Parstam Yages and Kirtana Prayayajati Sumit. And spiritually intelligent people in this age will follow Lord Chaitanya and chant Hare Krishna. And so, one more thing came to me as I was reading the purport that, so, because there's the mode of goodness we want to cultivate it. At the same time, like prior to 1965, in India, where it was much more towards goodness than than the hippies of America at that time. But because there was this attachment to family that Prabhupada talks about in the verse, persons who are entangled by undesirable eagerness for the temporary body and kinsmen, it was difficult for them to embrace the transcendental process that Prabhupada was giving, before he came to America. When he came to America, and a lot of the hippies of the time came to him, and they were in much lower mode than your respectable Indian Sattvic Dharmic people. But the hippies had less attachment to family and stuff. So they were more from wherever they're at, kind of like Magar the Hunter in some ways, from wherever they're at, whatever the low modes. So many of them grabbed on to the transcendental boat that Srila Prabhupada's giving, right? And rescued from the ocean of material existence. Okay, thank you for listening. Hare Krishna. I welcome any comments or questions at this time.
Dans la Moïga's answer, il transforme the reality, but at the same time, we stop the activity in action.
Stop those activities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to engage in activity in a mode of goodness.
Yeah.
So do we see that, become vegetarian, clean,
following principles,
give up, like all those things. So it's an interesting conversation to look at, like bhakti lead to goodness also.
Yeah.
The mode of goodness is a better platform for bhakti. But in that situation, in contact with the pure devotee Narada Muni, Moigari the hunter came to the platform of goodness.
Yeah.
And acted on that platform. And from that platform of action on the platform of goodness, as purification happened. But it's like what comes first. Because we see, even with in the people who come to Krishna consciousness that I have witnessed, it's often the case too. Like Prabhupada didn't start by saying, come to the mode of goodness, stop this, stop that, act differently.
It's true.
He gives the transcendental elevator. And he said, chant Hare Krishna. Chant Hare Krishna. And then he gives them a lot of prasadam. And then
Kirtan,
and Kirtan, Japa, prasadam. And then the mode of goodness came as a result of that. And then when knowledge came from the mode of goodness that developed there, then Prabhupada was able to say, well, in fact, we don't have sex. It's better, not to eat meat. Like that.
Thank you, Melanie. What you said, it's Prabhupada emphasizes that a lot, and it goes both ways. It goes both ways. It's same type. That from wherever we're at, however we're entangled in the passion and ignorance, we touch the transcendental process. Prabhupada's, there's even, and then the mode of goodness naturally manifests. And then at the same time, we are encouraged to cultivate goodness. Otherwise, it can be like the spiritual bypass thing. Oh, I'm doing the transcendental thing. So both are true. There's one statement from the early days in Prabhupada in later years, referring to the early days, he said, I didn't think anyone would ever follow any of the regulative principles. He was, I didn't think anyone would ever follow the regulative principles. I just thought, I'll chant. So yeah, Prabhupada, wasn't like, don't do this, don't do that. He just like sat under a tree and chanted kirtan and gave lots of prasad. And my understanding is like, Prabhupada wasn't even particularly proactive in giving regulative principles. At some point, those who were chanting and taking lots of prasad, they kind of came there in 66 and like, wow, what else can we do to advance in this process? So then Prabhupada's, okay, well, here's some regular principles that'll be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, even in my goodness, like when you went to visit Janaki and Mukunda,
Yeah.
you were not Janaki and Mukunda at the time.
Yeah.
And they had a cat.
They had a cat.
And the cat was, jumping on the table, was doing all kind of things.
Yeah.
Don't remember the name of some Stinger Doodle or something like that.
It's in the book, yes.
It's in the book, the name of the cat. But even that, Shri Prabhupada was so patient.
Yeah.
So patient because it's a kind of really gross, from the point of view of the devotee of the Lord, cat that go on the table and, like that.
Yeah.
And he was so patient. And then he told him, yeah, it's better not.
It's a very gently.
Yeah, gently and gently, like asking. But then, as people evolve and want more, then Prabhupada became really, okay, so if you want to really take that seriously, then here is what you need to follow.
Yeah.
And if you want to continue to take that seriously, act in a mode of goodness, which is purifying.
Yeah.
We are not going to change the modes we are born under.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to change the color of my eyes. We are not going to change, the mix of the mode we are born under. Or we can choose action in more goodness, even if we fail again and again and again, for the sake of purification, not for the sake to be in a more goodness. I think there is a big distinction there between choosing action in a more goodness for the sake of purification versus choosing to act in a more goodness, to be in a more goodness, which condition to happiness. Yeah.
Thanks for all those points, Melanie. Yeah, well, and maybe an even grosser example about representing Prabhupada's transcendental patience. So even before New York, when he was in Butler, right? So with the Agarwal family, and they had beef, dead cow, and Prabhupada would keep the boga that he would prepare and offer to Krishna in the same refrigerator, which would be just that's against all, that violates all the relevance. But he then never said anything, and he just gently gave them transcendence. And
they didn't become vegetarian.
They didn't.
I don't think.
No, they loved Prabhupada's prasad. I mean, on the video they say, yeah, well, he was preparing this thing, and he had a 3-tier cooker, and then at one point I said, well, can you prepare lunch for the whole family? So I don't know what their dietary choices were as years went on, but they loved Prabhupada's prasad. They said this was from a different world. We could like that. Any other comments or questions? Since I'm just following up on your point, Melanie, because a lot, let's say let's call it the New Age, which is a term that's, I remember yesterday I talked to a bit about some of my family members. So like around 1975, my sister gave me a gift called The Aquarian Conspiracy, a book by Marilyn Ferguson. And it was like about the emerging New Age at that time, and like that. And so that term is still there. So, a lot in the New Age, it's relatively sattvic. It's really relatively sattvic. So there's more of a consciousness to embrace kirtan. At the same time, we sometimes find that those who are most sattvic, sometimes they're the most resistant.
Because they are conditioned to happiness.
Yeah, like that. Right. Where someone, the illusion of happiness. Because as described in Bhagavad Gita, right? That the sattvic person, relatively, there is more relief from material misery, so we can feel superior like that. Interestingly, at the beginning, but it's then sometimes whose habits are in the lower mode, tamas and rajas, sometimes just in their Murgari, the hunter type of simplicity, they're just more open to dance and kirtan than maybe someone who's more sattvic, new age. In the very first verse of the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, and then Prabhupada in the purport, the chapter is entitled "The Modes of Material Nature." So Krishna says, "This knowledge is superior to any knowledge."
It's the most important.
Most important, because Krishna has already described about the difference between the soul and the body, and yoga and bhakti yoga. 9th chapter, the most confidential knowledge. So how is this about the modes of nature? Because we can say, because this, an example given is like, let's say if we're climbing a ladder, we could say, what's the most important rung on the ladder? It could be said the top rung, maybe, but we could say the most important rung is right where I'm putting my hand now. So that chapter, Krishna and Prabhupada describe, here's how we're attached. And with that knowledge, right, knowing knowledge and nescience side by side, with that knowledge, then that's a foundation for liberation. That's a foundation for liberation. And without that knowledge, again, we could do like a philosophical or spiritual bypass, and it can become abstract, but I'm not meeting myself where I'm at. Here's where I'm attached.
Yeah, it's interesting in that chapter. I always say, we just read it, so it's very fresh. They said, like in Mother Goodness, we are bound by the concept of happiness.
Concept of
That's
happiness.
the word Krishna used.
Yeah.
We are bound by the concept of happiness. So that concept of happiness keeps us bound in material energy, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that nuance.
Mm-hmm.
One more thing comes to me since I mentioned hippies. So it's a pastime early. I think this was in Boston, maybe 68. Right, the first center Prabhupada opened was 2nd Avenue, New York City, then San Francisco, then Boston, Montreal, Santa Fe, then Santa Fe, New Mexico. They were the first 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like early Boston. And so again, many of the followers of Prabhupada, they kind of came from the hippie culture. Not all, but in those, many did. And then at that time, there was like riots there was protests, some riots over the Vietnam War and things like that. And there were the police. So at one point they asked Prabhupada, so there's these riots and there's the hippies and the protesters and the police. Whose side are we on? The hippie protesters, the police? And Prabhupada responded, the hippies and the police are both on the same side. Right. So that's it.
It's out of the box.
Yeah, it's not about material duality, but the hippies and the police, like for Prabhupada, was obvious. Isn't it obvious they're on the same side? They're cooperating very intimately because the idea they're on the side of material sense gratification. Okay, what's that? Entanglement in material. They're both on that side. Okay. The police want their intoxication through beer, and the hippies want it through smoking this or that. It's the same thing, it's the same thing. And okay, and same for any of the other types of gratification. So any other sharing, comments, or questions at this time? Thank you all for your presence and association. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.